My name is Abdullah Nadi, and it's a new term, Afghan American. After September 11, we were the first group to go to Afghanistan and spend some time in Kabul and Kandahar. And what we observed there, the destruction of housing and culture and you name it, it broke our heart, and we decided to do something. So we put a team of professionals together, which consists of engineers and developers and bankers, and we created a company called AFCO International. AFCO International is a Virginia limited liability company, registered in Virginia and also registered in Kabul. We have two offices, office of course here in Virginia and also office in Kabul and Kandahar. When we were in Kandahar and what we decided to do, when we look at the great need for housing and infrastructure, we decided to come up with a project. At that time, we managed to obtain around 10,000 acres, which we contract purchaser of the piece of property. And then we came back to the United States, and as I said, I'm an engineer, and throughout of my professional life, I have known many good companies in Northern Virginia, and I had the privilege to know Mr. Bowman, a good friend from a long time. So we came to Bowman Consulting to help us. And I, on behalf of AFCO International, I thank Mr. Bowman, so I have another professional team that helped us put the conceptual plan and also the first phase of our project together. And at this time, I just respectfully ask Mr. Bowman to talk about Bowman Consulting Company. Thank you.
Sure, thanks, Mr. Nadi. Maybe first of all, I'll introduce the rest of the folks who are around the table here. I'll start with Sahela Shakib. Sahela Shakib is a longtime friend and professional colleague. Mike Gordon is the principal in charge of the Kandahar Valley Project. Mike manages the office where Sahela works in Manassas, Virginia. Julie Mazza coordinates all of our marketing for the company. Greg Long is the project planner. Greg Long has been with us for a while and conceived of what we see on the wall here, the overall master plan for the Kandahar Valley development. Bowman Consulting has, practically since its inception, had a number of Afghan Americans on its staff. When September 11th occurred and the obvious connection with the Taliban and so forth, Sahela and I talked, and obviously it was very sad. It was very sad what had happened here, very sad what Afghanistan had become. And we conceived of perhaps a day when Afghanistan would begin to be rebuilt. About a year later, Mr. Nadi came into the office. As he said, we've known each other for many years, probably 20 or 25 years, Mr. Nadi, I believe. And Mr. Nadi had founded AFCO and came in to inquire to see if we would be interested in performing some land planning and engineering services on their behalf for the Kandahar Valley Project. We frankly jumped at the opportunity. We for really two purposes. One, clearly there is a need to participate in the reconstruction of Afghanistan and the rebuilding and re-urbanizing of Afghanistan, modernization. We very much were looking forward to being a part of that. So, Mr. Nadi, we're very much looking forward to working with AFCO on this phase and all the future phases of Kandahar Valley and other important projects in Afghanistan, and look forward to an expanding presence in Kabul and probably eventually in Kandahar and other areas of Afghanistan. We're looking forward to a long-term relationship with your firm and with other professionals and workers in Afghanistan.
Thank you very much. I just would like to see if you can elaborate on the Bowman Consultant.
Sure. Bowman Consulting Group is a firm located just outside of Washington, D.C. in Fairfax County. We are a firm of basically civil engineers and land surveyors and land planners. We have about 250 professionals in our firm. Our business mainly is doing civil engineering and planning for residential development, and generally around the Washington, D.C. area. Washington, D.C. is a rapidly growing area, so we do for most of the major home builders and developers in the Washington, D.C. area design their roads, infrastructure, drainage systems, and so forth. Really the same thing that we'll be doing for you guys and have started doing over with APCO in Kandahar Valley.
Now the ball is on your court.
All right.
Greg, you want to explain the...
Yeah, I'm staying up for this one.
Greg,
This is,
Greg
kind
was
of fun.
the...
I'd like to thank Abdullah Nadi for putting a little bit of faith into someone that has a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. We tried to establish a pretty quick rapport, and we talked about some of the underlying principles that we felt were strong, because when you begin to talk about city building at a regional level, at a scale of 20 square miles, you have to talk about the physical framework that you're trying to create, because if you don't get your spatial and physical planning right with your city, then all the efforts that you do with your education, with your health systems, with your transportation systems, it's all undermined. So we kind of looked at the physical environment and the built world as being sort of the social construct that was going to sort of provide a framework for the growth of this new city for 100,000 residents, maybe more. I just wanted to briefly talk about the concept behind the drawing layouts. And a lot of these models were constructed by leaders in the industry. In the international world, they've actually done a lot of studies and proven models that work in other countries for competitive markets. And you can see the downtown core, you can see the strong diagonals, the little circular roundabouts. You could have a Jami Mosque facing toward Mecca. On the one diagonal, you might put a fountain or maybe a minaret for like a call to prayer or something like that. One of the things that we were tasked with was to understand the culture of Afghanistan and the Islamic faiths, and that was one of the biggest challenges for me, was to get my hands sort of into the thinking, the planning principles that the government had used for thousands of years in Afghanistan, and then to sort of culminate that and roll that into a modern city, which would be a truly new town that could actually work in a competitive market. So that was what we're trying to do, is try to create something that's fancy, that's livable, and it's also going to be economically successful to the region. Sustainable with the environment, yet create a strong economy.
Basically, I come on with the first conceptual plan, which is a little bit different. What I put together, it was these roads were connected, but later on, I think I like this concept of cul-de-sac because of, again, culturally, it provides some security, and maybe a group of family can live around one cul-de-sac. So I agree with that concept. I think at this area, we thought that maybe in the beginning of the project, we need to provide some sort of recreation and park, and also provide facility for a new concept, which is, I think, it's extremely usable in Afghanistan, which is water treatment plant, which is substitute for the sewer system. It's just a different concept, the separation of water, it's engineering concept that separates water from waste, and then the water comes through a small diameter pipe with in the pond, and then it will be treated by biological plantation things like that. But basically what I come up with in this section, which is Kabul Kandahar Road, we're going to have left-hand lane coming into the subdivision and right-hand lane, and we provided 110 feet from the center line of this road for expansion of this road in the future, because that's a major road which is connect from Herat, Kandahar, all the way to Kabul, major province of Afghanistan. So and originally we thought that this will be the major road going to the center of the town, and so therefore what I thought, based on my experience in transportation, that we will design a 4-lane divided highway, limited access, which from this section to the circle you have limited access. There's no entrances or anything like that. We have about 30 feet raised median here. And then this section, we decided to have some commercial here and then provide parking for the commercial, but the access will be coming from this around the circle here. And then there will be separation with landscaping buffer zone between the commercial area and the residential area. Basically, the roadway system, as we try to advocate in Afghanistan, they use a standard, and the standard that we use is the VDOT standard, Virginia Department of Transportation, also Fairfax County standard, that will dictate the functional classification of the roadway. And we provided with different typical section from the cul-de-sac to collective road, and then all come back to the same entrance back here. But ever since we are thinking in the future, maybe this area will be because the commercial area probably is not proportioned to the rooftop, so maybe we can put State House or something like that. But as I say, this plan is subject to change in the future based on, it's in Afghanistan, as you know, there's no statistical information or MIRS like in the United States to really find out what would be the proportion of commercial versus houses, or what type of houses would be more attractive to the people. So it will be so-called, we will test the water and we'll see what the market will dictate, and according to that, probably this concept throughout the years to come will change.
What Sohaila was saying is we overlaid our concept, one of our concept alternatives onto the existing conditions, so we could be more responsive to some of the natural features on the site. We looked at an existing canal. We know that there's going to be some sort of connection here down to the Kandahar itself, the existing Kandahar. You can see the topography of the two promontories. We're also thinking maybe you might, for engineering, you might put like water towers up there for storage of water, so that they can have adequate facilities. There's things like nice stands of trees down here that we want to try to save, maybe possibly work into the community. There's an existing hospital site that's fairly new that we're kind of adding upon. I mean, that's our sort of one of our constraints. And then the Kandahar Kabul Highway, which has been improved and it's brand new. We figured that we tie in with an arterial belt road, a beltway that would be similar in scale, I guess, to the Kandahar Kabul Road, which would carry most of the traffic around the site, and that would be a large arterial divided highway. You'd have, in certain areas, you'd have your major access points into the site, sort of forming these quadrants, like we talked about. And it's about, from this point to here is about 5 miles.